Stop with that nonsense. You don't actually lack discipline. You love the pain of losing money. If discipline was truly your problem, then you wouldn't be able to follow rules anywhere else in your life. You can wake up early. You can go to the gym. You can stick to routines. You can work hard consistently. So discipline is clearly there. The problem is that trading puts your nervous system under pressure in a way most people are not prepared for. And this is something I learned the hard way myself. When I first started trading, I wasn't some emotionless genius trader sitting in a perfect apartment with perfect psychology. I was just another guy obsessed with making it work. I would stare at the screen all day trying to force understanding out of the market. When I lost money, it felt personal. When I made money, I felt invincible for a few hours and then terrified of losing it again the next day. People hear stories about me turning a small account into millions and they imagine confidence. What they don't imagine is sitting alone eating cheap ramen noodles night after night while mentally fighting yourself every single day. And honestly, that period taught me more than the money ever did. Because whether I made money or lost money, the ramen stayed the same. That was important. When I made a huge trade, I didn't suddenly go celebrate like I conquered the world. And when I lost money, I didn't collapse emotionally either. I started realizing something dangerous happens when your emotional state moves with your P&L. You become unstable. Most traders are emotionally high after green days and emotionally destroyed after red days. That emotional instability is what ruins them. I had to slowly train myself to stay the same regardless of outcome. That's what people misunderstand about calm traders. We are not calm because we don't care about money. We are calm because we learned that emotional reactions destroy execution. The market punishes emotional urgency. The more desperately you need money from trading, the worse you usually trade. I learned that firsthand. There were periods where I watched trades stick against me and I could physically feel my body reacting. Heart racing. Tight chest. Shallow breathing. The urge to do something immediately. That's when I realized trading is not just charts. It's nervous system control. Because the moment real money is involved, your brain stops thinking logically and starts thinking about survival. That's why traders revenge trade. That's why they close winners too early. That's why they hesitate. That's why they freeze. That's why they break rules they promised themselves they would follow 10 minutes earlier. People think they need more discipline. No. Their nervous system is overriding their discipline. That's the real issue. I realized this especially after big wins. People assume making money fixes your psychology. Sometimes it actually makes it worse. Because now you become afraid to lose what you gained. I remember periods where I made amounts of money that didn't even feel real anymore. Numbers that would completely change most people emotionally. But I still lived simply. Still ate basic food. Still kept the same routines. Why? Because I understood something very dangerous about the market. The second your lifestyle starts emotionally depending on trading results, fear enters your execution. And fear changes behavior. That's why I always say traders need emotional neutrality. Not hype. Not ego. Not adrenaline. Neutrality. The market doesn't reward intensity. It rewards consistency. And consistency only comes when your nervous system stops reacting to every little movement. Most traders can analyze charts perfectly on weekends. Everybody becomes a genius when the market is closed. But Monday comes, real money is on the line, and suddenly they cannot execute the same plan they confidently explained 2 days earlier. Why? Pressure. The body changes under pressure. That's why strategy hopping never fixes the problem. You can learn 50 strategies. If your emotional state collapses under uncertainty, you'll sabotage all 50 of them eventually. You cannot think your way out of a nervous system response. You have to regulate your way out of it. That became one of the biggest shifts in my trading career. I stopped obsessing over prediction and started obsessing over emotional control. I protected my environment. I protected my routines. I protected my mental state. I stopped chasing excitement in the market. The funny thing is that the calmer I became, the more money I made. Because when you stop needing every trade to work, you finally start seeing clearly. That's the irony of trading. The traders trying the hardest emotionally are usually the ones forcing the worst decisions. Meanwhile, the traders who can stay detached, patient, and regulated are the ones surviving long enough to win. And survival matters more than people think. Most traders destroy themselves before their edge even has time to play out. That's why I became comfortable with very boring consistency. No emotional spikes. No trying to feel like a genius. No trying to get rich overnight. Just execution. Did I follow my plan? Did I manage risk? Did I stay calm? Did I execute properly? That's it. A single trade means nothing. A single day means nothing. The goal is survival and consistency over years. People want trading to feel exciting. That's the problem. The best trading usually feels almost boring. And honestly, one of the biggest signs you're improving as a trader is when winning no longer changes your identity and losing no longer destroys it. Because then you're finally operating from stability instead of emotional survival. That's the real edge. Not another indicator. Not another Discord server. Not another strategy. The real edge is becoming someone who can stay calm while uncertainty is happening around you. Most people never reach that point because they spend all their time trying to master the market instead of mastering themselves. But the market is just a mirror. It exposes your fear, your greed, your impatience, your inability to sit still, your inability to tolerate uncertainty. And until you learn how to regulate yourself under pressure, the same patterns will keep repeating no matter how much knowledge you collect. That's why I always say this. The strategy is the easy part. Mastering yourself is the real challenge. You don't actually lack discipline. You just lose control under pressure. If discipline was truly your problem, then you wouldn't be able to follow rules anywhere else in your life. You can wake up early. You can go to the gym. You can stick to routines. You can work hard consistently. So discipline is clearly there. The problem is that trading puts your nervous system under pressure in a way most people are not prepared for. And this is something I learned the hard way myself. When I first started trading, I thought the answer was more knowledge. More screen time. More setups. More effort. I thought if I just studied harder and wanted it badly enough, eventually everything would click. But what I realized is that the market does not reward emotional intensity. In fact, the more emotionally attached I became to money, the worse my trading got. When traders hear my story now, they think I must have always been calm and naturally disciplined. That's not true. Early on, I felt the same emotions everyone else feels. Fear when I entered trades. Greed when I started winning. Anger after losses. The urge to revenge trade. The need to make money back immediately. I experienced all of it. But over time I realized something important. The market was not beating me. My reactions were. That's the difference most traders never understand. When real money is on the line, your body changes. Your heart rate increases. Your breathing changes. Your nervous system moves into survival mode. At that point, you are no longer calmly executing. You are reacting emotionally. Some traders fight. They revenge trade and force settles. Some traders flee. They panic close winners too early because they cannot tolerate uncertainty. Others freeze. They hesitate, second guess, and miss trades completely. This is not a strategy problem. This is a nervous system problem. That's why traders can analyze perfectly when the market is closed. Over the weekend, everybody becomes a genius. Everybody sees clean setups. Everything looks easy. But the second Monday opens and they enter a real trade, they become emotional. Because now there is pressure. Now there is uncertainty. Now there is fear of loss. And the brain starts searching for certainty in an environment that can never provide certainty. I learned very early that if I could not control my emotional state, no strategy would save me. That's why I stopped obsessing over finding the perfect setup. The real edge was learning how to stay calm while under pressure. People think trading success comes from predicting the market. No. Trading success comes from staying emotionally stable while uncertainty is happening around you. That's why I became extremely protective over my mental state. I stopped over-consuming information. I stopped chasing excitement. I stopped trying to force money out of the market. I started treating trading more like waiting than attacking. And ironically, that's when my performance improved the most. Because the calmer you become, the clearer you see. Most traders do the opposite. They sit there staring at every candle, emotionally reacting to every move. Their body becomes tense. Their breathing becomes shallow. Their mind spirals. Then they think the answer is, maybe I need another indicator. Maybe I need another strategy. Maybe I need more confirmations. No. What they actually need is regulation. You cannot think your way out of a nervous system reaction. You have to regulate your way out of it. That means learning how to calm yourself before the market even opens. Breathing exercises. Walking. Training. Meditation. Silence. Anything that puts your body into a calm state instead of survival mode. Because if your body feels threatened every time you enter a trade, you will continue sabotaging yourself no matter how good your strategy is. And one of the biggest lessons I learned was this. You must become comfortable with uncertainty. Most traders cannot tolerate uncertainty emotionally. The second a trade goes slightly against them, they panic. The second they take a loss, they feel the need to immediately recover it. That reaction destroys traders. Because now they are no longer trading their strategy. They are trading emotional pain. I had to train myself to become completely okay with losses. Not because losses feel good, but because losses are part of the game. A single loss means nothing. And once I truly accepted that emotionally, not just logically, everything changed. I stopped trying to force outcomes. I stopped attaching my identity to P&L. I stopped treating losses like personal failures. Instead, I focus only on execution. Did I follow my plan? Did I manage risk properly? Did I stay calm? Did I execute correctly? That became the standard. Not whether the trade won or lost. Because the market can do anything. But I can still control myself. And that's the real work in trading. Most people spend 99% of their time searching for better strategies while ignoring the fact that they are emotionally unstable every time they trade. That's why they stay stuck. They keep trying to fix the external problem instead of the internal one. But trading exposes who you are under pressure. It exposes your fear, your impatience, your greed, your inability to sit still, your inability to tolerate uncertainty. The market is like a mirror. And until you learn how to regulate yourself inside uncertainty, you will continue repeating the same cycles over and over again. That's why I always say this. The strategy is the easy part. Mastering yourself is the real challenge.